in to join the workshop, and that you are subscribed to me on YouTube or subscribed to me on my email list, whatever you did to get to this workshop. I am so glad you're here, and I'm so excited to show you 3, and then there's going to be a bonus one, so really it's 4, but 3 secrets, 3 tricks to making your 3D art, your 3D game, your 3D environments look absolutely breathtaking and incredible. The cool thing about this workshop is, number 1, you don't have to be a genius. Number 2, you don't know how to 3D model, right? And number 3, all you've got to be is just a little bit humble and realize that maybe, just maybe, Mr. Thomas here can tell you some tricks, some secrets. So let's jump into Unity and get started really quick. I wanted to say a huge thank you to Alexandru, Jordan, Julian, Mahed, Caesar, Jefferson F, and Fluff S. Welcome to Full-Time Game Dev. And look, guys, there's only 5 days left. There's only 5 days left to join the summer sale for my massive course, which is called Full-Time Game Dev. Look, it's one thing to learn how to make games and take a course from somebody who's passionate about making games, right? It's another thing to learn from somebody who's actually done it on 3 separate occasions. Okay, these are my 2 games here, Neversong and Pinstripe. Both of these games I got funded and went full-time with these games just with a simple demo. I did it with publishers, I did it with Kickstarter, but I also did it with this game called Twisted Tower. Okay, this game is currently in development. I'm trying to get some Steam Deck verification going for it, but it's launching in a month. And that game, I also went full-time. It was my biggest publishing deal that I ever signed. That's being published by 3D Realms. So if you want to learn not only how to get published, how to get kickstarted, but how to hit the Steam front page, how to get thousands of wish lists. Twisted Tower is currently at 102,000 wish lists. If you want to learn how to do that, that's in the course as well. And I'm also going to throw in my 2D and 3D art programs completely free, but only for this sale. And if you don't trust me, that's great. Congratulations. You're wise. You shouldn't trust YouTubers just on their face. You should also take a look at these reviews here of students who actually went full-time with the help of the program. And by the way, if you're a student in the chat, let me know what you think about it. Let me know what you think about this program. It's awesome. It's going to be so much fun to have a private Discord call with you and just a handful of other developers who've enrolled. I forgot to mention that. That's another bonus, is an hour-long mastermind meeting with me where I get to meet you and talk to you and just answer questions you have about your career, about your game. Okay, so click the link below if that sounds interesting to you, and I'll give you a shout out in tomorrow's live stream. But let's go ahead and jump inside of Unity. I cannot wait to show you guys what we're going to be working on here today. Okay, so the first thing I want to show you is just how ugly, just how absolutely ugly this scene is here, okay? So this is the scene we're going to be working on, and we're going to make this look breathtaking. In fact, we're going to make it kind of look like a retro Silent Hill environment, okay? And we're just going to be using these assets. Now, for the bonus trick, whether we have time to do it today or tomorrow, the bonus trick, the bonus secret has to do with adding some extra little elements. So we might go in and grab additional models and stuff just to add that extra little seasoning and flair to the dish, right? And we'll talk all about that. So anyway, Tuckmac, awesome to see you. Obsidian Contraption, awesome to see you. Shadow Interactive, awesome to see you. Kev the Dev, hope you had a good night, man. I know that I kind of was very critical of your game yesterday. The goal is to help you, okay? I mean, seriously, the goal is to help you. So I hope you learned a lot, and I hope that I was helpful. And yeah, okay. So look how terrible this looks, guys. This looks absolutely horrible. Let's hit play here and just see how this looks. These are our assets, and these are all free assets. I'll include a link in the description after I finish up today's stream, but this is what we've got. We've got an arm, a trash can, a lamppost, a really cheap sign that I made. It's just basically cubes. And then I've got this quad here. We've got grass and dirt. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that everything is colored correctly. Okay, so we're going to use a color palette. So I highly recommend you do this for your game. create a color palette. So in this case, I have a Photoshop file where I've just thrown in some colors that I want to use in this scene, okay? Another thing we can do is use inspiration when we're creating our 3D scene, okay? So let's go ahead and take a look at the inspiration that I'm really interested in. I actually saw this last night, and this is from a Instagrammer named Orphan Funkhauser. I absolutely loved this beautiful Instagram post. And so we're going to take inspiration from it and try and create something beautiful just like this. Now you're probably thinking, well, Thomas, this looks old school. Well, there's something beautiful about old school. This shot right here in particular, so beautiful. And believe it or not, I know that I'm saying that it's easy, three tricks here, but this is easier said than done, okay? It takes a lot of understanding of color theory and lighting and fog, and I'm going to show you all of that today to get something to look like this. There's a reason why posts like this go viral, because they're absolutely beautiful, and they're using the three tricks we're going to talk about in today's workshop, okay? All right, so this is my color palette, guys. Pretty straightforward. Nothing crazy here. We could probably make this a little bit more green, so let's adjust this one. And this isn't anything in particular. It's not anything special, okay? This file here, it's not like it's some special color palette file format. It's just a Photoshop document that I have while I'm going to go into all of my textures and edit my textures, okay? First things first, I'm going to start with the skybox, okay? So don't think that I didn't go in and set up all this stuff, okay? Everything you see here, I've set up for this live stream, okay? And this took me maybe an hour getting all this set up. And all of the textures you see, all of the assets you see here that are using textures, they are PSD files, okay? Including this skybox. I can double click on this and bam, opens up in Photoshop. Isn't that cool? Okay, so the goal is to be able to edit really fast. Edit our artwork really fast. One of the big problems that developers have, and let's go ahead and just start using this color palette here. One of the problems developers have is that they assume they have to work with the file formats of the assets they download. And what I like to do is I like to convert, I didn't do it for this video, but typically what I'll do for my games is I'll convert everything to a blend file, all the 3D art to blend files, so that I can double click and edit them really quick. I can't stand FBXs. It's very inconvenient to edit an FBX because it's destructive. Also, my textures are all Photoshop files. This is why my projects are massive in file size, but that's okay. It doesn't actually translate to the actual build of the Unity game. The Unity game actually exports it as PNGs. All right, let's save this skybox. We're going to start with our skybox. Boom, already on track. Okay, good. Let's go ahead and move to our grass. Okay, so I'm just going to select our terrain. And we'll go in and make sure that everything's pixelated and has a nice sort of unified retro feel. But let's go ahead and go to our grass here. Same thing. And I'm just going to take this grass texture that I downloaded. And a lot of these textures that we're going to be using today, guys, some of them we're just going to strip from Google. So those aren't necessarily like royalty free, but it's just for the purposes of today's video, just to knock it out and get these textures in the game really, really quickly. So let's go ahead and make this match our color palette. So we're just going to do this brown, okay? We'll just do a brownish, maybe even a little bit of that yellow. I think that yellow might actually look pretty good too. So let's go ahead and make grab our brown here. I'm just going to copy this swatch and bring it over here and put it right here. Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and just do a saturation shift, a hue saturation shift, and make it match that color. Perfect. There we go. Our grass is a PSD, so I just save it and then it, boom, updates. Okay. Just like that. Now, if we wanted to, we could take a look at our inspiration photo again and see, okay, well, what are they doing with the grass here? Well, the grass is probably a bunch of leaves, right? A bunch of like yellowish leaves. So that looks great, right? I love those leaves, very eerie. So let's see if we can grab some leaves from Google. So I'm going to type in leaves texture, as if we're in a very haunted forest. And all I'm going to do is just grab a very crunchy looking texture here of some leaves. I know you can't see my screen, one sec. Bring it into Photoshop here. There's our leaves. And again, we're just going to match it to this color here. Big shout out to the Instagrammer. I love that visual. It's so cool. So let's just save this. It's called grass, but who cares? So now we have our leaves. And we're not going to worry about all of the texturing and the pixelation and how much smoothness we're going to use. We're actually not going to use any smoothness values. And we're just going to make sure the colors are nice and matched. That's all we're going to be doing here. Let's go to our dirt here. And we're going to do a stone path, kind of like we saw with that Instagram post. So just stone, paver, texture. Got one here. Give me a sec. I'm going to grab it, bring it into Photoshop here. There it is. And we're going to match it to this brown as well. But what we want to do is maybe make it a little bit lighter. That's all. Okay, so we're going to actually colorize it. Saturation down. And we're going to do that for now. I'm going to save that. And now we have our dirt and we have our leaves. Okay. Nothing crazy here. It still looks absolutely horrible. And that's okay. We're going to start moving into our other textures as well. This one here, I'm just going to double click on it. And I'm going to make sure that it matches this brown. Okay. Same sort of thing. So I'm just basically unifying all of my colors in this game. That's the goal, right? Sometimes you don't want to do too much colorization because it can make everything really washed out. Let's see if we can darken this maybe. Yeah, we're probably going to need to colorize this one though. There we go. Good so far. Save it. And now our rock has a unified color theme as well. Good. Let's see here. How about our beautiful wood paneling here? Unify that color as well. Okay, good. And this one's pretty close. So we should be good here. Yeah, we're pretty close here. Save it. Good. This tree here, let's go ahead and get this texture working. We're going to want this to be the same brown, right? So let's go ahead and just get the tree itself selected. And again, because this is a PSD, it'll be nice and transparent. Or I'll be able to save it really quickly. We're going to just do a color overlay of this color here. That's it. And I'm going to tell you something, guys. It's all going to look horrible. All of this is going to look horrible. And what a lot of Unity developers do, this is something I've noticed with my students, my clients that I work with, and myself. If something doesn't feel right, they get stuck and they focus on one thing. They don't know it's a surgical approach as opposed to like focusing slowly in on a photograph with like a lens. Okay. What I like to do, especially with artwork, is I like to basically get everything working in one specific color palette, get the color palette working, and then I go in and I get the lighting done. And then I go in and get the fog done. So I do it all in sort of big sections. I don't focus on one asset. So that's good. Let's go ahead and do alpha clipping. There we go. And there is our dead tree billboard, okay? I mean, you can imagine we could have a bunch of these in the distance and make it feel like there's trees haunting in the distance, right? Okay. So we're getting there. We're getting there. The signage, we're going to have basically be a cream color. Okay. So it's going to be like this, but more like that hue, but it'll be like this, but a little bit lighter. So let's just increase the brightness, drop the saturation. There we go. And we'll make it look like a textured canvas or something, but we'll have a sign here. Okay. Drop down all of our smoothness values for all of our textures. We do want to do that. Okay, so this right here, okay? This is where we start to incorporate those yellows, All right. So let's go ahead and change the green to this yellow. So you guys see how the color palette is basically our North Star. It's guiding every decision we make. We're not really making any impulsive decisions or guessing and checking right now. All we're doing is just following the color palette. Get a rock solid color palette, make sure all of your textures are PSDs, and then start figuring out which colors are which for all of your textures. Okay? We're not worried about lighting right now, none of that. Let's change our greens to be a vibrant yellow that matches. Hold on, we forgot to bring in that color here. Grab this yellow here, copy, paste it there. There we go. Crank up our saturation for just our greens. Make them look a little bit more yellow. We might need to go to our yellows and make them look more yellow. Right? There we go. See how this looks. We're going to save this and see if it actually works. We might have to remove the transparency. Let's see here. No, that's not it. Something's going on with white. What is it? Color variation? It's this shader. Yeah. So we might need to work within the confines of this shader, honestly. So we have some yellow there. Don't love this shader, to be honest with you. We can definitely do something like that. But I don't love the shader. I don't love the shader, if I'm being honest. I wish it was much more vibrant. So something's going on with the vibrance of that color. Oh man, I wish that, is it the channel? Yeah, it's the alpha channel. Okay, so let's merge all this together and put the alpha channel in the PSD itself and mask it. There we go. That way we could see it better. And then I can go ahead and go down here, go to black here, add some black. There we go. And let's just crank up the contrast and the saturation so that we're getting those yellows popping. There we go. Popping out of the leaves. There we go. The only problem is the branches, right? The branches have a little bit of a strange look to them. But let's keep going. We're almost there. So this pop of color, you probably noticed that everything's muted in brown, right? We're going to go in and start throwing in these tiny pops of color. And again, we're referencing our color palette. And that's going to make it look much more interesting. Let's see if we can grab just the tree branches here. Good, we can. Awesome. And I'm going to grab those and I'm going to paste those on top. There we go. So now we have that vibrant yellow and then we have just the standard brown underneath it. Okay, that looks good. Okay, let's hit play and just look at everything and see how it feels. All right. Coming together. Coming together. And when we make it look all pixelated, it's going to look really, really cool. And once we start adding lighting and all of that, it's going to look really, really cool. Okay, so far so good. Fog's going to make a big difference. Don't skimp, guys. Don't skimp on correcting colors, okay? So for example, I could have thought, well, that brown looks pretty good. No, it doesn't. We got to fix it. Everything needs to be unified. I'm going to colorize this one. Here we go. There it is. All right, save it. And now we have unification of that tree. Much better. We also need to do it for the branches. So again, I'm going to put that right there so I can reference it. And I'm just going to colorize our branch. There we go. Okay, see if that works. Yay. All right, I'm going to enter play mode. Take a look. That feels great. We probably need to remove some of the, I think it has smoothness values on it. Make sure all smoothness values are turned off. Okay, no, there are no smoothness values on that. What about this? No, yes, there is. Good, okay, turn off all smoothness. Turn off all smoothness. If you want a retro looking game, the trick is to just immediately turn off smoothness. Okay, let's go to the house here. Same thing. Turn off smoothness for everything, all of our different materials here. Crank off the smoothness, good. What about the windows here? Oh, yep, smoothness, turn it off. Smoothness, turn it off. And what I'm gonna do is go ahead and unify the colors for this as well, okay? And it looks, this is the thing, it looks like it's unified. It looks like it's matching the color palette, but oftentimes it's not actually. And so that's why it's so good to go in and just unify all the colors inside of Photoshop. There we go. Probably need a little bit more yellow in there. Or is it green or blue? There we go. That's it. Okay. So that's the new color. Save it. Good. And now you can see, oh, okay, it was way too red. It was way too red. Let's go to this as well. Same thing. We're going to have to colorize this because we have some vibrant red colors and then some lower saturated ones. We're just going to unify all of them. Good. Save it. Yay. Okay, good. Everything's coming together. The worst offender here is that the leaves for sure. But we're not gonna worry about that right now. Okay, same with this pole here. I'm actually gonna match it to the skybox gray. So I'm gonna grab my skybox here, and then I'm just going to paste it. Wait. This is the skybox color here, good. And I'm just gonna go to this square, fill it in with that color. There we go. So yeah, honestly, we just want to just desaturate it, I think. There we go. That's about all we needed to do. Does it make sense, guys, why we're using PSDs, right? In this case, I did not create an extra PSD for this, so I need to make sure I go to, I'm going to call this lamppost. These are my texture folders. I'm just going to type in lamppost, but I'm going to save it as a PSD. That way I can edit it on the fly whenever I want. Now I'm going to make sure that I turn off that normal map. We don't want a normal map, do we? Good. Turn off the smoothness, and let's go grab that new texture. Remember, we just saved it. There it is. Drag it over here. Okay, good. Now it should be, let's double click it to be sure. Yep, it's that PSD. Okay, what about this car, right? Hey, let's make that car the vibrant blue, right? So let's go to our car PSD. There it is. And I know for a fact that this sort of vanilla color here is the only one we're going to worry about. Those other ones, I don't really know where those colors are in the car. Maybe that, but I'm not worried about it. So let's grab our blue color, right? So we've already used our yellow for our leaves. So let's just grab this blue color, and I'm just going to put it right here. Save it, see how it looks. Awesome. So as you can see, guys, now we have this really interesting color palette that's working for us. In our scene, we have these pops of vibrant sort of pastel colors, right? Flanked by this muted, ugly gray, okay? So far, so good. The arm, we're going to play with the arm in a second. It's actually related to one of our points. We're still in the first secret, which is unifying textures under a single color palette. That's the first trick that we're learning right now. But this zombie arm is part of a different trick that I'm going to share with you. It's very interesting. It's number 3, and it's about directing a scene. We'll talk about it. I'm going to turn off the smoothness values for this arm. Hey, let's try and call attention to this arm a little bit more. So, and we'll talk about that in the third secret that I'm going to share with you guys. But for now, we're just going to make it blue, and it'll make sense very shortly. Okay, so this blue, we want this to be a unified color of blue. Hey, there it is. Good enough for me, man. So now we have that blue arm. Trash can. Oh, it's fine, Thomas. It's just gray. Well, let's think about this. Is there a way to incorporate more color into this trash can? Right? We've only used that yellow color for the leaves, so let's go ahead and put it on the trash can. Now, you might notice that this is starting to feel kind of like a valve flavor. And I think that's because Valve does this really, really well. Valve uses a few colors and sort of stylizes their game. And it's also a great way, to incorporate hints about the game's design, right? So instead of using yellow paint, just make something yellow, right? Let's see if that looks any good. It probably doesn't. We probably need to make it look painted. And we might have another texture for that. But if you make that pixelated, it'll probably look fine, actually. And we'll pixelate everything in just a second, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and make that trash can lid the same thing. I'm just going to duplicate this adjustment layer over to the lid. Save it. How we doing, guys? Wizard's asking a really good question. Thomas, it makes sense why you want to use PSDs on the fly, but should you convert it to a PNG at the end of the production of the game? If you care about paying GitHub for like 600 gigabytes of data stored on their servers, then yes. But it doesn't matter in terms of the actual export of the game. I think Twisted Tower might have a 600 gigabyte project file. However, it's 10 gigabytes when I export it. Let's double check here. When I export it for Steam. Well, I can't see it there, but don't worry about it. It is 10 gigabytes though. Something like 10 gigabytes. Okay, let's hit play and take a look at how everything's looking here. We need to make the emissives match that yellow, right, for the windows. So we'll make the windows match. So far, so good. Everything has a unified color theory now. I don't think, now that I'm looking at it, I don't think we need to change the color of the leaves. I thought we might need to change them to like a red color, but we're not going to do that. Let's also make sure we match the lights to that same color. Okay, so again, everything's unified under a single color theory. This light right here, I'm going to go ahead and add that hexadecimal, add it down here to our swatches, and now our light even matches. Okay, we're going to do the same for here. Our light even matches. Now the directional light currently does not, and we'll talk about that. Directional light, you don't really want to add too much color to it because it can really get really ugly. Like if I were to change this color here for this directional light and I was to make it this color here, all of a sudden everything looks like crap, right? So we'll talk about that. Let's see here. What else do we need to do? Oh yes, the emissives of these windows, okay? If we take a look at this window and turn on emission, I think it's this. Which one is it? We need to find the right, oh, it's there. Okay, so we're gonna turn on emission for this, and we're gonna do that yellow color, okay? And we're gonna have to play with it a little bit here so that it actually matches, but problem is the intensity is so bright that it won't actually match everything else. So let's sort of match it by eye here. It's pretty good. Crank down the intensity a little bit. I don't love those windows, honestly. I kind of want to make them like maybe even dark. I think that would be pretty spooky. Like if we did this, turned off emission here, and then did that. That's kind of eerie too. I like that. Let's hit play and take a look. And by the way, those of you who are just joining us, remember that Full-Time Game Dev has 6 days left for the massive sale. Full-Time Game Dev is my massive course, which teaches everything I've learned in the last decade of making indie games, getting publishers, going full-time, getting funded on Kickstarter, doing 2D art, doing 3D art, making 2D games, making 3D games. It's all in there and it's massive. There's also reviews on the website of students who actually went full-time with the help of the program. So be sure to check those out. See if that's something that interests you. I feel like that ceiling here, this right here, it needs to be a different color, but we're not going to worry about it. Also, I feel like that is shiny. It is. There we go. Turn off the smoothness values. All right. let's go ahead and get the directional light working for us, okay? So this is our directional light. Now that we've unified all of our colors, I don't love this yellow. Let's remove it. We're going to keep it just a dark tin color. That looks so much better. Yeah, that yellow was kind of like throwing me off. Desaturate, drop down. There we go. Boom, boom, boom. Awesome. Okay. Now, you're probably thinking, oh, we forgot to unify this color. So one final one here. We're going to unify the colors here. We're going to make sure the directional light looks good, and then we're going to go ahead and go in to all the textures and make them look pixelated. But for now, let's go ahead and clean up this texture here, make sure it matches our color palette of the brown. This is the last one, and then we'll do the light. Now, the light is going to, and the fog and all of that is really going to make a huge difference. And colorize it, drop it down. There we go. Desaturate. Are we doing good so far, guys? I haven't checked the chat. How's everybody feeling? How's everybody feeling? Any questions so far? Hey, Thomas, I'm currently doing my graphics for Steam. My app icon and a shortcut icon is coming out brown or gray on Steam. I have no idea why that's happening. No idea. Seriously, I'm sorry. I don't know. Any other questions, guys? Any other questions before we move forward here? Oh my goodness, it's looking really good. Looking really good so far, guys. Look at that. I feel like those, for some reason, are gray. It's because they're shiny. Like I said, we want to remove all shine. What it's trying to do is it's trying to reflect the skybox, or just an empty reflection probe. AKA, there is no reflection probe. Okay, that's good so far. This right here, the spotlight, we also want to match the color, right? We're going to crank up the intensity. And we'll talk about lighting in a second. But I want to get that. And by the way, it's one thing to have a point light that's colored. It's another thing to have a spotlight that's distant, far from the ground, and it's still colored. It's going to feel a little odd. So what we're going to do is just desaturate that and go a little bit more realistic here and increase the range. There we go. Okay. So it's still the same hue, right? Let's go ahead and apply the changes to our prefab. We're going to add texture and all. We're going to add crunchiness to all of our textures. We could probably, yeah, let's get our light source done. So this is our directional light, guys. When I rotate this directional light, that's the only thing that can change, okay, in terms of its positional and transform values. We probably don't want too much of the directional light, but we do like the shadows because they create like this cool depth. So that looks good. We could probably, and we're going to keep the intensity the way it is. I'm going to probably warm up the temperature just a tad. And now here's the big one. Are you ready? Here's the big one. This is going to make it look like Silent Hill. Fog. Now the trick with fog, and this is what so many, you could tell an indie game, you could tell a hobby game by how they incorporate their fog. They think that looks good. Well, what is fog? Well, fog is the clouds and obviously the moisture and the fog in the air. Well, why does the sky look a certain color? Well, because of that. And so you want to make sure you match the color to the fog. Do you see? Now, you can if you want. This is dangerous, but what you can do is make it a little darker, as if shadows are hitting it, okay? Like that. And that's cool because now we can see the silhouettes of these trees. As we move forward, things are less foggy, okay? Now, my opinion is we could probably add some color to our fog, but we don't want to do too much because then it won't feel scary. Maybe just a subtle green. There we go. Okay. All right, so let's hit play and take a look at the eeriness of it. That is haze, not fog. No, it's fog. There we go. So far, so good. Looking good. I honestly want to match it to the horizon, if I'm being honest. Yeah, let's match it to the horizon. Right there. Man, this looks like salad fingers for some reason. Okay. What are you talking about, Clayton? Now it looks like fog. That's haze. No, that's, I don't care. It's fog or haze. It doesn't matter. Um, these are a little too vibrant. Can I just change? Oh, it's because of that blue. What is that? Oh no, that's the. Here we go. Can we just adjust it here? Yeah, let's just adjust it here. There we go. All right. So far so good, right, guys? So far so good. Let's think here. How can we make this look a little bit more eerie? I think that the fog is still problematic. There we go. A little bit more eerie. I think for personally, what we can do is we can use point lights. We can use point lights as our primary light source. And that directional light, not so much. Okay, so I'm going to reduce the brightness. There we go. Of our directional light. We don't really need to warm it up. Let's enter play mode one more time here to see how this looks. Okay, looking pretty eerie. We need to increase the size of that car. Rocks look good. I'm going to turn off the shadow of our character controller. So far, so good, guys. Yeah. Yeah, it's looking great. Super eerie. I wonder how the fog affects those trees. Yeah. I don't love the way those look up there, but it's fine. Okay, guys. Now, the point lights, what I was talking about was you can use point lights if we really wanted to. Like, for example, a lot of you are probably like, oh, I want to make this game look like it's nighttime. Well, what you would do is you turn off any environment lighting. So I'm going to crank off the skybox light completely. Now that looks much better. Just getting rid of the skybox light looks really, really good. Now you might be thinking though, man, the shadows though, they're really, really dark. Let me see here. With the directional light, you can actually adjust the shadow strength like this. Okay. So just reduce that strength so it's not so intense. And now let's take a look and see if it's not, we don't want it to look so muted. Okay, we might have a little bit too much contrast here with our shadows. So we might need a little bit of environment light. Yeah, we need some environment light. So we need a little bit of environment lighting, which is again in the lighting tab, go to your, and then just crank it up just a little bit, just like that. Okay. All right, so far so good. I really do kind of want that fog to match the horizon. So what we're going to do, I'm struggling with this fog. I don't love, there we go. So that we're going to take the color of the fog and now we're going to put it into our skybox, okay? So watch this. We're going to go to our skybox. Where is it? This is in Photoshop. There it is. And I'm going to take that exact color and watch. If I just fill it, save it, now that is so eerie. And I don't even know, I really seriously don't even know if we need to do anything else with it to capture that eeriness, that it's similar to Backrooms where it's just like, what is out there? I have no idea. So what we could do is, what I wanted to talk to you about was lighting really quick though. If I crank up this lighting and maybe bring this light source here, what you can do, I don't think we're going to do this for this, but what you can do is create a high intensity light here. We're going to reduce that saturation there. Make it a little more red. I love the red. There we go. And we could put that there. And what you can do is actually almost basically just delete the directional light completely. And now you're going to get a much more eerie environment. Let me show you. Right? So this looks cool too. It doesn't look, in my opinion, like Silent Hill. And we could turn off the shadows just for this light in particular. And you can kind of light the scene like that, right? But we're going to go with the Silent Hill look, which is much more foggy and flat. But we can, if we want, we could still use this light here to create some depth there. Let's make it a little bit more red. Now we're starting to eyeball our colors. There we go. I love that color. We're going to use that one. This one, same thing, match it to that one we just used. There we go. It's a little bit more peachy, right? This one right here, we could probably match it to it as well. Maybe just a little bit less saturated. There we go. Okay. I'm going to enter play mode one more time just to see how things look. Awesome. Great. Anybody have any questions? Thomas, I figured out your recipe. Color theory plus a nice skybox plus fog. Play with the directional light and shadows. Add nice sound feedback. Add movement somewhere. Yeah, I think that's great. That's so true, and that's what most games do. It is the formula for, well, really good environment art. Let's go ahead and add some darkness to the top. Just the top of the skybox. We don't want this interfering with the horizon, though. We just want it to feel like almost like the night sky. Yeah, there we go. Just a subtle night sky up there. Okay. Let's go ahead and figure out why that's so dark. This is going to have a light source on it. It will. Yeah, okay. This is going to have a light source on it. It'll be like right there. So I'm just going to paste that inside of this. It'll be like that. Okay. Lighting's our best friend. Lighting is our best friend. And it's going to have a neon sign on it. I think overall we're good to go. Let me think. Oh, crunchification of the textures. Now, one way you can do it is you can go to the actual textures themselves, and you can just do it here, right? You can say, okay, I'm going to make this 128, right? And if you want, you can make it point no filter, and it'll look really crunchy like this, like a PC game, right? However, if we want to use our inspiration from that video we were watching, this has a more of a anti-aliasing going on. It gives it that N64 vibe. So I've never done that before. Honestly, I always pixelate it, but I love that blurry, ugly sort of N64 look. So we're going to do that. Okay, so we're not going to use point no filter. We're going to use bilinear. And see if we can increase the texture size. Good. So all I'm doing, guys, is I'm just going in and I'm going to make all of these one by one. All of them are going to have a lower texture resolution. That's all we really want to do here. 256. Pretty good. What about this door? The problem with doing it this way is sometimes, just the way a 3D object was unwrapped, you're going to get very inconsistent resolutions. So that's why you kind of have to go do it by hand. You see that? So this one's 512, whereas that roof was like, what was it, like 128 or something. Let's go to our, that looks really good actually. But even that right there, I don't love. But it's okay. Okay, let's go to our rocks. You can do the same thing here. Does that have a normal map on it? If it does, I hate it. There it is. Let's turn it off. Remove normal maps, baby. There are no normal maps in retro games. Why? Who knows why there's no normal maps? There's no metallic maps. There's no smoothness maps. Anybody know? That looks great. I love that blurry ugliness. You can do this in bulk. It's just, if you're using assets, you have inconsistent sizes of the unwraps. And so some things might have much heavier detailing than other things. Let's go to our trees here. We're going to make this look terrible. Set it to 128. Look at that. Now, the alpha clipping is an interesting question. I don't know if alpha clipping was a thing back in the day. So we might need to... Was alpha clipping a thing? Let's double check. Was transparent alpha clipping available for N64 and PS PlayStation games? Let's double check. PBR wasn't invented. Well, I don't know if it's that it wasn't invented. I'm pretty sure it was invented. Like it was in Toy Story. It's that it just could. That's three different properties of a material that have to be rendered, right, on top of themselves. Okay, both N64 and original PlayStation supported transparent alpha clipping, though the hardware-specific limitations. Okay, what are some images of this happening? Any screenshots? Let's see if I think Mario had it. Mario 64. But yeah, that looks good. Okay, I'm gonna let AI sort of do its thing, but I think overall we want a thicker set of trees here. There we go. That is so eerie and wonderful, and I love it. Let's take a look at the texture on this side. We can't have this. So again, we're gonna go to a pine tree bark, go to 256, hit apply, maybe even go to 128, hit apply. Honestly, even less. There we go. Oh, I love that. Ocarina of Time trees use alpha clipping. Cool. This one, same thing. Now, if you download an asset and it just seems like the poly count is too high and it has a high fidelity to it, you can go into Blender and decimate the assets. The only problem is when you decimate architecture, it's a little different. So if I were to try and go in and decimate this house, it would just, all of the vertices would collapse and it wouldn't look like a house anymore. But like more organic stuff like this, you can decimate it. But this actually looks really good, this poly count. I'm happy with it. Now, in a PlayStation game or an N64 game, you might have these tree branches as billboards or like quads. But overall, I think we're good. We're going to grab this and we're going to set it to super low. Oh, that's so good. 128. Awesome. How's the smoothest values? Smoothest values are turned off. That's good. That's good. That's good. This one, I actually hate this texture anyway. It looks really bad. So let's just go ahead and destroy its max size. Maybe 64. I hate that. That's definitely my least favorite asset. I might flip it or swap it. I don't like all the actual three-dimensional information on it. Okay, this same thing. The arm and the cloth, or the shirt, we're gonna make it look really crappy. There we go. And then let's see here. This is gonna be problematic because it's so flat. So what we need to do is go ahead and grab some rust texture. Now, again, like I said at the beginning of this video, or this workshop, we're gonna be using Google. It's not legal, but we're just gonna do it for now. So I'm gonna type in rust texture. Thank you, Cappy Games. What was the poly count of the tree? I don't know, but it was really low by default, and it was like a realistic tree. And by the way, all of these assets are free. Let's get a rust texture from our wonderful Google here. Okay, I'm gonna grab it, put it on top. We're not even gonna be able to see those words once we decimate or once we collapse down the texture. There we go, and I'm gonna put it on top of the whole freaking thing. Let's see if this helps. It does. Good. Okay. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna set it to overlay, and then we're gonna turn off, remove any saturation from it. And now that the car looks a lot uglier. The smoothness values, I feel like it has smoothness values. Does it have smoothness values? So some of this is just bad, like that right there. Like you wouldn't even see that in a PS game or a PlayStation game. Let's set it to 128, maybe 256. There we go. And once we add lighting and shadows and all that, it's gonna look great. It's gonna look great. And also one thing you could do is go to play mode here and just double check something. How does it look in a lower resolution, right? So we can, I need to turn off the shadow of that collider as well. Now we can also use camera effects from the asset store, but you can imagine like, okay, let's do 858, this 854 by 480. So this is kind of how it would look pixelated, right? But there's camera effects we could download to make it look better. Okay, we'll make that car bigger. We'll remove the shadow from the player. Overall, we're pretty good. And then also we're going to add volumetrics and all of that to make it feel really interesting. I could set this to 2 by 2 by 2. Maybe that's too big. How about 1.4 by 1.4 by 1.4? Good. Good, good, good. Oh, the texture of the ground. That's the big one, right? That's the big issue here. We're going to set it to 128, and I probably need to set the loop to be a little, or the tiling to be a little bit more frequent. Set that to 256, but that's a little too high, isn't it? Let's go a little bit lower. There we go. And we're going to redo that texture because I don't like that one. The leaves are fine, I guess. Let's do this. Let's go to our leaves and make it tile a little bit more, because right now they just look really bad. So I'm going to make basically little stamps of them and just put them all over. Now you probably think, well, Thomas, just increase the tiling of it in Unity. Well, the problem with that is it's still going to look bad because it's going to look like the tiling is incredibly frequent. So for this texture in particular, we want, honestly, a pretty variable texture with a lot of different shapes in it. Yeah, you don't want to see the tiling. And then we can make this one, I guess, probably one of our bigger textures in terms of its actual like size. Okay, so let's try this, and then I'll show you how to make it tile properly. Yeah, it looks a lot better. Yeah, it makes it look a lot better. Okay. The way we make it tile is we just basically merge all this together. And some of you have probably seen this in previous videos I've done. You just duplicate it, transform, flip vertical, and then fade out the top like this, right? Merge all those together again, and then do it horizontally as well. And then fade the left side. Yeah, just like that. And now we should get a perfect seamless tiling. Feels a little square at points. So what we're going to do is grab this, and then I'm going to rotate it at an angle, and then just have portions of it available to see. So like, let's see. Just fade in little parts of it. Let's see if that helps. Helps a little bit, but the edges are what really, it's, yeah, whatever. And then I kind of want that stone to be gray. The brown makes it look a little bit too much like a desert, but let's hit play and take a look at the grass. Or I'm sorry, the leaves. So far, so good. Okay. I know why that's happening. We'll fix that. Okay. Let's go ahead and adjust the value or the color, the hue of our rock. I'm sorry, our dirt. We go bigger like that. Yeah, let's find some pavers. That's not working for me. Paver texture. We want it to feel like there's an actual path. There we go. We want it to feel a little bit more modern. So that is perfect. Look at that. Okay. Save it. Take a look. That's much better. Good. Okay, we could probably reduce the resolution size. There we go. Okay, just make sure we loop it properly or tile it properly. Merge them all together, right? Transform, flip horizontal, fade, right? You'll find a good spot. I think it's right there. There we go. That one's pretty good. And then we'll do the vertical as well. Transform, flip vertical. And then just the top right here is all we really need. Okay, we're going to save that and see how it looks. Yeah, that looks much better. But I kind of want to remove any color from it so it's nice and gray. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Okay. The grass, or I'm sorry, I wonder what's going on there. Let's take a look and see with no lighting or no effects. What is going on with the tiling of the grass? It's not grass, it's leaves. I think it's fine. But let's go ahead and just make a little path here. We'll do the we'll then start structuring our scene now that we've got everything colored and textured properly, right? But let's just see how it looks with a path. We'll do like 2. So there's our path. How does it look? Let's take a look. Yeah, it looks good to me, man. Yeah, that's better. Okay. So far, so good. Let's think here. I think we're ready to set up the scene, honestly. Okay, so in order to set up our scene, what a lot of people do is they think they need to go huge. So let's move on to the second point here, or the second trick. Okay, the second trick is, well, it's proper level design. Okay, so that's the proper the next step. Once you've got your colors, what am I saying? Once you got the colors, once you got the prefabs done, once you got the lighting done and the fog and everything looks cohesive, next up is level design. Okay. Now, what was I saying? I found this to be true with my clients that I work with because I do consulting now, which is really fun. I love working with the 12 clients that I work with. I'm having a lot of fun. But also with students and also subscribers, all of these indie devs that are hobbyists, they think they need to make a level that's just massive. And when in reality, you just need a little vignette, and then you just create various scenes from that little vignette. So let's just make a little vignette, a tiny little vignette. So I'm going to go ahead and set my height. Okay, if I hold shift here and left click, it samples the height. Okay, it's 0. I'm going to set it to 20. And I'm going to flatten it to a level of 20. And then I'm going to do a value of 0 and just do this, a tiny little vignette like this. Okay. Now that's a little too high. If I get down into this vignette, into this little spot, it's too high. Okay, well, let's turn on some of the effects here. So that's not going to work for us. So why not set it instead to something less intense? Maybe 8? No, let's do 6. Okay, let's set the height to 6, and then we can go back to setting this center point to 0. So now we have a little vignette where the player will be limited, okay? And this also helps me if I just say, okay, this is the level. It helps me so much. Okay. Now we're going to smooth it. To smooth the height. Okay. So now I know that this is my level. And then I'll put rocks and trees around this. Let's hit play and take a look. Yeah, that's going to look great. Does this make sense, guys? It's also a great, it's primarily, for me, it's a great way to limit myself as a developer. Limit where the level is so that we don't freak out and build a ton of level out there. We're not going to do that. We're just going to have a little vignette here, okay? Now that we've sort of set that height, I want no lighting. I don't love that I'm seeing weird shades. Okay, anyway, let's go ahead and grab this here. Increase our brush size. Set height. We're going to do a height of, well, if we hold shift and click, it's 6. So we're going to get a height of 8. And over here, we're just going to slowly start creating height variation so that if we get to distant areas, we can see some height variation. Same is true. Let's do 12 and just keep going up. Now you might be thinking, Thomas, use the raise and lower terrain tool. That's fine. You can. The problem with the raise and lower terrain tool is it looks obvious that it's been used. Ground, from what I can gather, is layers of various heights. And so that to me looks much more realistic. Now, obviously, we'll smooth it, right? But that looks much more realistic to me. So that's why I like using set height. We can do some here as well. We could do 16. We'll put a big sort of grove up here. But we'll smooth it out. We'll smooth it out. There we go. Yeah, this just feels way more realistic to me. I think this is how the world actually has elevation. It's done in layers. So let's hit play and at least take a look. And you'll notice that I'm going to start hitting play a lot more because when I do terrain, it's amazing how terrain looks so different in play mode versus looking down at it, right? Cool. So we're just getting subtle. We can see subtle shifts in the terrain in the distance, right? Just barely. That's all we want. We'll create some variation in the height where the path is. Okay. And then we'll push down in various locations here. So what I can do is I can say, okay, well, let's do -6. And I'm going to push down, let's say, right here. I could have sworn you could go negative, but you can't go negative. I forgot. I thought you could go negative with terrain. That sucks. Darn it! Okay, so what we'll do is 5, or a value of 3 maybe right here. We need to set the whole thing to 3, unfortunately. Dang it, Thomas. Thomas, what did you do, buddy? We need to set this to a value of 20, flatten it, and then start from there. That sucks, man. Well, that's the way it is, guys. We've learned our lesson. Never assume that 0 is the bottom. That's the rule we've learned, isn't it, guys? We'll bring everything up. We'll bring everything up here. Pivot, there we go. Bring it up. There we go. Just like that, okay? Awesome. Okay, so these are our assets, or our scene assets. What I'm gonna do is disable all of these, and we're gonna start over and start fresh here. Okay, so where was I? Let's do a value of 6 or 16 for where the player is going to be located, or maybe even 18. Yeah, just like that. There's our little ground piece, or our section where we're going to be limited to. Okay. We're going to do actually 16. There we go. We'll do 16 here. This is where the player is going to be limited to. There we go. Then we'll do a value of 12 for a lower portion, right? Something like this. Let's hit play, take a look. Good, okay. Yeah, we're getting there. Awesome. That variability in height's going to be really interesting. Good, okay, so we're creating variability. That's great. The next thing I want to do is set this to 24. There we go. So the house will be like right there, and we'll have like this cool tree line behind it, right? Just like that. Maybe have some of it over here, but other than that, I think we're fine there. And then we'll do one more, maybe set it 28. Yeah, just like that. Okay, let's hit play again. Take a look. Good, 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 good. Awesome. Now we're going to smooth it out. So hang tight. We're going to smooth it out. That's a little low right there. So I'm going to set it to maybe 14. Yeah, there we go. And I guess we could have a little grove down at the very bottom there. Maybe set it to 13 here. There we go. And then we can smooth it out. Let's make sure we paint that though. Paint the texture here. Paint it to this. Okay. I'm going to hit play one more time. Good. Good. Now, believe it or not, guys, using the raise and lower tool to get this look, this sort of layered look is so much harder. It's so much harder to do. Okay, let's smooth out some areas. Smooth height. Smooth out all these. We'll leave some parts, right? Some sharper edges. See that? That's totally fine. Maybe sharp edges here. We'll smooth this out as if there's like a path going up, right? That I kind of feel like that needs to be sharp right there. So let's go back in time. So this is smooth. There we go. Smooth it out. Leave that sharp. Smooth some of this out. Smooth some of this out. Yeah. And we'll use rocks and stones as if, I mean, you'd think you couldn't reuse assets over and over again, but rocks are one of those things that you can use over and over and over again. We probably need a stone texture as in addition to a path texture, right? Sorry, I'm rambling, but yeah, I like those little sharp pieces right there. Let's hit play again. Thomas, have you come up with your next game idea? Yes, a couple of them. So far, so good. Now let's go ahead and create a new texture. We need a stone texture. There we go. Grab this one here. This is going to be our stone texture. So stone. Set the saturation to low. Save that stone, and I'm going to bring it in as a new layer for our terrain, and we're going to paint that stone on the vertical parts of the terrain. Okay. So let's go ahead and paint our texture. We're going to create a new layer. We're going to use the stone texture. There it is. And now we can use that to basically follow a rule here, guys. The rule is if it's vertical or slanted, it's stone, right? That's the rule. Okay. That's basically it. If you've got a sharp edge, you just throw on some stone. And we'll make that look better. But overall, that's the idea. You can even do subtle, right? Subtle opacity. Make it look not so looped or tiled. Just paint it on there. Okay. And we will take a look at play mode. The tiling of it's pretty intense, so what we're going to set it to do it to 1 by 1. I'm sorry, 5 by 5. There we go. Yay, much better. And then we're going to set it to a very low resolution of 128, maybe even lower, 64. Yeah. All right, let's save. It's looking good, guys. Got some texture going on. Yay. Awesome. Let's do a little bit more in certain areas, okay? So you could do like the areas that are super intense in their tiling, you could just go in there and add a huge punch, but like very low opacity. It's like this. See? It just makes it look a little less tiled. So that's the limit, right? This right here is the limit where the player can go. I cannot express how valuable that is as a developer to limit yourself to a scope of a scene and call it a day. Don't think maybe I'll make the level bigger. No, this is my boundary. That's the size of the level. We'll fade to a new level when, especially as an indie. Indies want everything to feel open world, and they use AAA standards. You don't need to. You don't need to. Just limit yourself, okay? I'm going to limit myself to the size of this right here. That's where I'm going to focus my attention. Everything outside of that is secondary. So far, so good. So we'll start right here. Where am I? Walk up here, walk up a path, and there will be a house right here with a lamp post, some stones, and some trees. All right, you guys ready? So again, we're on secret 2, which is level design. It's environment design, knowing where to place stuff, knowing where to paint textures, knowing where to put lights. That's a massive question that I think a lot of developers get really, really overwhelmed by. All right, so we're just going to start with the stones. We're going to place rocks. So this one's called rock. I'm going to put it in my prefabs here. There we go. Original prefab is fine. So remember where the player starts. So the player starts right here. So let's start placing some stones. These stones need to be that gray color. Okay. So it's all the color theory stuff. It only goes so far. And then once you start placing your objects, you start making other decisions about your stones and about your bark color. Organic stuff in particular, I always end up tweaking the colors. I don't know why. Maybe brighten that up a little bit. We could probably match it to that, honestly, right? We could go to our rock texture, and I can grab that and put it inside of my actual rock here. And it's a little textured, a little intense of its texture. But let's keep placing it, right? Keep placing it. So you're just going to use rocks, and we'll try and match it a little bit better to that. But you're just going to place them all over the place. And we'll use invisible quads, and we'll use, fences and all of that to block the player in. For now, we're just going to place rocks. We'll worry about the actual limitation of the player. And you can go really big in the distance, right? We can do this. We can, if we really want to, we can go, okay, you know what? Let's just do some massive rocks here. And because it's got a high fog, you can get away with it, right? Because we're being strategic with our lighting and our fog, we can get away with stuff like this. Save our scene. Don't forget to do that. Maybe one over here, right? Just rotate that single rock. Let's take a look at it and see how it looks in play mode. Halo 1 used one rock model. Nice. So look, this is how it looks. See? It looks good, honestly. Once you start throwing in trees, it's going to be awesome. Okay, let's keep going. Don't be afraid to use massive rocks in the distance. It's okay. It's totally fine. Let's increase our move speed in the scene. There we go. Like I said, we're going to limit the player and we're going to be okay with it. Why does my field of view look so terrible? There we go. What is happening? Don't be afraid to use rocks generously. Look, you could even do one massive one. I don't love my camera settings here. Something happened where it looks terrible now. There we go. Okay. Good. We don't want to have to put rocks everywhere. You want there to be what's called landmarks. And this is particularly valuable in game design where you want the player to know, you don't want them to get turned around. So for example, if I put a giant rock right here, maybe it's like super tall, and then at the top I could put like a church or something, or even just like a lone pine, the player will remember that and they won't get turned around as much. Okay, good. Probably put one over here as well. We do a big one over here. Rotate it. And if we turn on our effects, you can't even see it. So let's make it so that the fog's not so intense. Here we go. Hit play. We're going to take a look. That's awesome, OT Getty. Thank you for saying that. OT Getty says, 5 minutes in and I learned more important stuff than most tutorials. Okay. So far, so good. Big ass rocks. We'll put a path. We need to have a path going up here. We could probably put some big rocks in the distance there with some trees. But overall, I think we're good. Let's do our path now. So where's the player start? The player starts here. Honestly, we need to probably have a few more rocks. Small rocks. Like here and maybe one right here. And you want to guide the player exactly where they need to go with the first 5 minutes of the game. Okay. Once they're further into the game, you don't have to hold their hand. But that beginning sequence, you need to hold some hands, okay? It's okay to hold some hands. All right. They'll start here. So we need to create some kind of a path up to this beautiful house right here, okay? So let's go to our assets. We're going to bring the house to a nice, and this is really, notice how I'm not placing stuff randomly. I'm not just like, where do I put it? I'm thinking almost like a director would in designing a scene. Surprise, surprise. You need to treat making a game like you're a director. So I'm going to put, let's see here. What's the scene going to look like? I'm going to walk up here and I'm going to see, yes. I'm going to see these two houses, kind of like a motel, like this. And we'll have the trash can. We're going to have the trash can next to the motel sign. We'll put the arm coming out of the trash can. We're going to talk about why. And we're going to set up a scene here that has a story to tell. Okay? We'll talk about that in a sec. Because that is, I believe, the third point. Directing. Yeah, we'll talk about directing the scene. Right now it's level design. But once the level's done and designed, then you can start directing the scene. And by directing it, I mean that like you're a film director. You think strategically about where things are placed, why they're there, right? Let's revert this. I moved the wrong thing. Set it to 1.4 to 1.4 to 1.4. There we go. I'm going to hit apply. And then we're going to drag the car down. There we go. And then he's going to be parked like right there. So let's see how this looks. As we walk up, is that a good shot? No. This needs to be rotated like this. So be thinking from the perspective of the player, okay? It's always, always important to think, okay, what does it look like for the player? Not some cool screenshot, but the player. How does it look? What's it look like? And so now we're just designing some interesting shots as the player moves up and approaches the cabins. What's it going to look like? What's the vibe? We'll have a big, giant sign calling out the hotel or the motel. This. Let's hit play and take a look. And this is the thing is I'm entering play mode constantly because I'm trying to feel, okay, how does it feel for the player? That's what's going to make it feel more cinematic. Yep, it's starting to feel that way. It's starting to feel like a level, huh? Okay, good. Put that up here. This can brighten up. And we're going to call attention to it. We're going to have street lights following the path, right? The path isn't done yet, though, so we need to work on the path. And then we'll start placing trees as well. Okay, does that make sense? Yep, we're going to tell a joke as well. That's in number 3. And I'm serious, by the way. We're going to talk about that. Let's add some brown to these, or like leaves even. I'm going to add some leaves to these because I'm just getting, they're standing out a little too much. The rocks. There we go. So we're just going to add some leaves to our rocks. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just need some warmth on them because they're way too contrasty. There we go. Yay. Okay. All right, let's work on that path. Now, the path is interesting. The way to do a path on terrain is to set height on the terrain, and we'll sample the height here. So it's currently set to 13. Set the brush size really low, and now what I can do is say, well, let's do 12. Right? High opacity, and let's do it pretty strong here. There we go, and we're just going to slowly do a path up this. So this right here is set to 13. I'm going to set it to 12. And this path is going to guide us up, and we'll smooth it, obviously, but it's going to guide the player. It's so important to guide the player, guys, in your level design. This is set to 14, so we're going to go up to 13 now. Do you see what we're doing here? I'm going to set it to 3. The size to 3. We'll smooth this, don't worry. What's this? 15. So we're going to set it to 14. And just guide the player up to there. Now let's smooth it. We might need to push those back a little bit. And we'll add a little bit of a stone pathing texture to it. There we go. Yep. Yep. Smooth it. Smooth it. We'll add just some texturing there. So that one feels a little, there we go. Yep. All right. Smooth it. Good. Yeah. Thomas, it doesn't look like a path. Well, hold on. I like to just lower my dirt just a little bit before I add pathing or texture. Just so it feels like it's been walked on, or that it was let's see here. I don't love that. I kind of want the path to go up here to like a parking area. There we go. And then maybe one over here as well. There we go. I'm gonna work on the texture. I don't love that texture for our path. Probably needs to be dirt, doesn't it? I think it needs to be dirt. Like a dirt path. And then I guess I'm okay with like a paver path there. Let's just do dirt. Honestly. We're going to do dirt. I don't love that. There we go. We're going to do this dirt texture here. There we go. We're going to play it by ear. I kind of have an idea of the color I want. And then honestly, the shadows are too dark. So the way to solve that is to take this, go back to our dirt. There we go. And then fill it in this, and then drop the opacity down. And now we have our dirt. Let's take a look. Okay. It needs to be, does it need to be darker or lighter? That's the question. I think it needs to be lighter. No, I think it needs to be darker. Let's try it. No, it needs to be lighter. Wait, colorize. Save. Yeah. It's a little too light. So that's why I love to be able to go back and forth between Photoshop. You do dirt underneath stuff now, because leaves wouldn't be falling, right? They wouldn't be falling in certain locations. So I love the idea of having dirt, maybe even desaturated a little bit. No. Eyeballing it here, guys. Hold on. I feel like it just needs a different saturation level. I don't know. Maybe it's the contrast that's an issue. What does it say? Here, hold on. We're going to figure this out. Lighter, but we need contrast. So let's crank up the contrast. That's better. But it's not perfect. That's good. And then I feel like we could get away with 5x5. 4x4, that's good. And then maybe reduce the or increase the resolution just a tad. There we go. That feels better. I feel like we need to increase the size of those leaves. Yeah, let's increase the size of the leaves. There we go, 4x4. Yay, okay. That's good. Now we have this little path that we can move up there. And then I also need to lower it just a little bit right there. So we're actually going to use the lower terrain here just a tad. We'll smooth it in just a sec. I just wanted to, this is, you got to be so careful with lowering. It's so finicky. And let's just smooth it. All right, we'll put a rock there. Another rock right here. Just so we're guiding the player, right? Make it a little smaller. Maybe a little bit bigger. Here we go. Okay, good. All right. And then again, you can use that the dirt texture to just sort of frame in stuff so it feels a little bit more realistic. Like I can, and honestly, we could probably brighten it a little bit more and add a little bit more contrast. A little bit more. No, gotta be so careful. Gotta be careful. Yeah. Just frame it in. I'm gonna set the height here. So shift click, and then I can just do it right here. There we go. So it almost feels like it's got a front yard. Yeah. So you walk up around, and then it has a front yard here. There we go. Yeah. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. Nice front yard that you walk up towards. Yeah. Does that make sense? That's the idea. Lock in the player, baby. There we go. Yeah. Cool. Honestly. Just feeling it out here, guys. Feeling it out. There we go. Same is true over here. Guide the player. Guide the player. Yeah. Player starts here. Boom. Guide him. Let's smooth it just a little bit. Maybe smooth. No, I like how sharp those are, actually. And then we'll put a big rock here. Start the player here. Let's take a look. So if I'm down here, start here, make my way up to the cottage. Cool. Okay. I like that better. I like that better. Okay. What's next for our level design? Well, we can place these quad trees in the distance, and they look like this, right? You just see them in the distance. These guys, we need to lower their resolution as well, right? And what you can do is, one of the benefits of having fence pieces is you can create fence pieces and just lock in the player, right? But we don't have any of those right now. Let me think here. Also might need to use a little rock piece right at the base of this so it makes more sense visually. Yeah, there we go. Maybe a big one right here. And then one behind it as well. There we go. Now, what makes it feel like a desert and what makes it feel like we're not in a forest is, well, there's no trees, right? So that's what we need to do here. We need to add a bunch of trees. Let me double check something here. I just want to make sure I'm happy with the... So the one shot that I don't like that when I'm walking up, that rock is in the way. I wish it was more like framed. I like that though over there. So this I'm going to remove, or at least yeah. And then maybe put some rocks behind these guys. Yeah, like this. Yeah, there we go. So they have a nice sort of frame behind them. Yeah, like that. There we go. Probably, honestly, yeah, that's what we want. Just framing in the shot, baby. There we go. Okay. Pine trees, or I'm sorry, the dead trees in the background, right? We could take this, remove the transparent, make alpha's transparency, remove PSD matte so that you don't have white edges, and then we're just going to set it to low resolution. And these are alpha threshold. We can just create all sorts of shapes here. Look. I can rotate them. Just want to make sure that you render both faces. And we'll also have in the skybox, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have some pine trees, but we're going to do that later. Big one here. So trees grow in groups. And so if you're ever wondering, why do my trees look terrible? What's going on? It's usually because you're not grouping them properly. So now it just looks significantly better just because I just moved the grouping. Or I grouped them together, right? So let's keep grouping them together. And when we add those pine trees, it won't feel like a, you know, a desert. Look at that. Isn't that cool how you can just use fog and quad trees to really make things look interesting? Awesome. Okay. Now to frame this shot, what I want to do is frame behind it a bunch of pine trees. We'll squash it down. Different sizes and heights. And look, I could do this with the terrain tool. I'd rather have control, precise control of exactly how big the tree is. And so that's why I'm not going to do it with the terrain tool. See? I like to have full control over my trees. That's one of the issues that I have with the terrain tool is you can't select individual trees and adjust their height. It's kind of ridiculous, actually, if you think about it. Group trees together, baby. They grow in groups. Do you see? So this is a 3, a group of 3. We have a group of 2. That one looks a little odd next to that one, so I'm going to move it over. This one, group of 2 here. Rotate it. Looks like completely different trees, right? These guys, we're going to decrease the alpha clipping. Yeah, there we go. They're just a little too thick. And we might even go into Photoshop. So far, so good. We're going to remove one of those lights. We'll add some headlights to this guy. But that's going to be step 3, which is directing. Right now, we're just set dressing. Probably need to make those bigger. We're going to go 1.3. 1.3. How about 1.2? And then I'll hit apply. There we go. And I'm going to move this cabin back more over here. Right? Have our trash can, our arm. That's good. That's good. Move that to there. This we don't need anymore. Okay, let's keep going with our trees. We're gonna add these trees to the skybox. I'll show you how we're gonna do it in a sec. But right now, I'm happy with how it's looking so far with our trees. Just keep on rotating. Got to rotate them. Otherwise, they get really ugly really, really fast. This guy we can shrink down. Good. Some more trees up here. Again, they grow in families. Good, good. So you can imagine why it's so valuable to focus on a single, and I'll say the word again, a vignette. A little vignette, a little scene. Don't worry about, look at, and by the way, look how good it looks when they're in groups. It's so important. And then you can put one down, some distant lone tree right here. When you focus on a single location, you don't get overwhelmed. So many game developers, they want to make an open world game, and I'm just like, if you have $20 million, please be my guest. Or how about $100 million? But until then, focus on smaller scenes. I'd rather you make a really good small scene than a really boring, bad, big scene. And look, we've been streaming for how long? An hour and 40 minutes? And it already looks pretty dang good. But it's because we're focused on a very small scene, right? These guys suck. Let's find a different image. Silhouetted dead tree PNG. Yeah, you shouldn't make games just for content creators. I totally agree with you. But I do agree that at the end of the day, look, a big game, a big level is usually, it's usually going to bite you in the butt. Usually, a big game will bite you in the butt. Okay, let's adjust our clipping. Okay, those look a little bit better. Yeah, those look a little bit better. Very Resident Evil, huh? Positioning stuff in Unity is so annoying. I hate positioning stuff in Unity. Oh, that looks good, though. Remember, they grow in groups, guys. Look at that. Yep. Yep. They grow in groups. What did I tell you? We need some lonely visual right over here. Fog is your buddy. Fog is your buddy. Let's add a little bit of a rock over here. So I'm just eyeballing it. I'm kind of thinking like a painter almost, but in 3D. I'm just thinking, what are the various positions that the player... This is so important with exteriors. You think, where is the player going to typically be? Well, I know they'll be here looking this way. They might look back that way. So, there we go. Shrink it down. Yep. They're going to look over there. They're going to walk over here. They're going to look at these houses. Good. So I feel like we need a tree behind here. We need some more of these. Right here. All right, let's enter play mode and take a look. See how it feels cinematic now, guys? It's not, I'm not randomly placing stuff. Nothing about this was random. This whole process was very thoughtful. I'm thinking about where the player's going to go. I'm thinking about what the player's going to look at. I'm thinking about the player size. As they move through locations, that needs to be bigger. I'm going to put a sign up there. But yeah. So far, so good, capturing that Silent Hill vibe. There's part of me that feels like we could get away with just a little bit of texture on that skybox. A subtle horizon. Yeah. And that is why, or one of the reasons we want to put that horizon there, just that subtle light, is so that what we can do is cheat. I'll show you in a sec here. Where's the tree, the dead tree? Well, let's do it this way. We can cheat by adding a dead tree forest silhouette all along the edge. So here's an example. I'm going to grab this from Google, and we're just going to make tiny little tree lines in black. And we're just going to loop them like this. I'm going to fade one edge here. Okay, we'll do like lower here, and then this one is faded here and here and here. Now I have a sort of stamp that I could use on the horizon. See that? And I could just basically put this all over the place and make it feel like there's a lot more going on in my skybox or in the distance, right? I don't have to do it. Look at that. I don't have to do it in game or in the scene. but we want it to be very subtle. So it probably needs to be a little bit smaller. And then put more here. That's a little much. A little much. And then we're just going to fade it out. So I'm going to take all of these, convert them to a smart object, and just reduce the opacity significantly. And now you can kind of see these trees in the distance, right? Now you might want to go to the lighting and decrease the darkness of the fog. There we go. And then I'll add some rocks to our skybox so that it feels like there's more rocks in the distance than there are. The goal is just to create depth, right? That's what we're trying to do. But Thomas, it's foggy. You don't need depth. Yeah, you do. Even if it's foggy, you need depth. And so watch this. I'm just going to do like this crazy sort of rock formation in the distance. Grab that. Go a little dark here. Just like that. Squash it a little bit. Fade out parts that don't really make sense. Right? Hit save and take a look. I'm going to reduce the saturation or make it black and white because I'm getting some weird coloring there. We can do 2 layers of it if we want. Transform, flip vertical, or flip horizontal. There we go. There's another layer. Awesome. Yeah, let's increase its resolution a little bit. Right now it's so low. Well, actually, can we do, would point no filter help with this? Why is it so low? Wait, what's going on? No, it's mid maps. That's the problem. Okay, better. We're going to do bilinear. The resolution's so bad. High quality helped. Now let's go down to 512. There we go. That's better. Nice and blurry. That's so creepy. I love that. Awesome. I wonder what would happen if we warmed up the horizon. It's just a question. I don't know if it's a good idea. I think we could do it very subtly. And that's okay. I think that's all we want to do right there. Yep, there we go. You could probably brighten it just a tad. So this is where the guessing and checking comes in. Where you start to go, okay, maybe, just maybe. And then even if we wanted to, we could create some cool fog effects by just doing this. And then fade those out. Like that. There we go. See? Save it. Take a look. Good. Yeah, very, very interesting now. I love that. Looks really cool. Now, you'll notice that there's not a focal point, right? Because there's 3 light sources, right? So what I'm going to do is create a focal point. This is my focus right here. So I'm going to remove this light and that lantern. And this lamppost, I'm actually going to put to the left here. So I'm thinking like a level designer here, but I'm starting to think like a cinematographer. I'm starting to think like a director. I'm thinking, okay, what's a good composition of this shot? So many people think because it's a 3D game, you don't have to worry about composition. And of course that's not true, right? Let's set it to 1.4 by 1.4 and apply it to our prefab. And we don't have, I don't think we have any post-processing. We might. There we go. Hit apply all. go. And so we're going to have a street light here. And then maybe one right here. So don't feel like you're suddenly excused from composition because it's 3D. It's like, no, it's like particularly important now. Like more important to think about composition. Probably put one over here. Again, trying to frame in the shot here to make it, to draw attention to this sign, which we'll be doing in just a sec. As we move on to the third trick when it comes to game 3D art, 3D level design. Let's see here. I don't love this shadow here. Drives me nuts. So what I might do for this one to make it, and I can make it look different because it's modular. You have that one there, and then you have this one here, right? And you can maybe put it above the door. Like this. So now we have a focal point for our shot, aka only a few lights, only a few lights. The rest of them, including this one even, you could just turn off. Okay? So let's hit play and take a look. Okay, the focus is almost there. I'm going to remove the light from that as well. The focus is almost there, but not really, and I want to show you why. I'm going to basically make an off variant for this, including the texture itself. I can't select the... There we go. I'm going to set this one to off. And the way you do that is just create a new material, turn off the material, and there it is. I'm going to call this one street lamp off. Don't underestimate the value of having all of your lights have an off prefab variant, because what you don't want is you don't want a bunch of lights in your scene, but you want it to look like there's a bunch of lights. So I've got a bunch of street posts here, or lamp posts here, but they're off. Honestly, all of them are off because I want to draw attention to right here. Okay, so I want to create a focal point here. It's okay. It's okay to be cinematic with your lighting. And what I mean is, it doesn't always have to be practical. So I can crank up the intensity of a giant light source here with the goal of drawing a focus to this spot right here. That's okay to do. We're just trying to create a focal point here. Soft shadows. Do these cast shadows? They do. Why don't I see them? I'm not seeing shadows for some reason. There we go. I don't know why I'm not seeing shadows. I think it's because the camera's too far away. Okay, cool. All right, let's hit play and take a look. So now there's more of a focus. I'm going to decrease the fog's brightness. I think it needs to be darker. That looks great. Very good. Very, very good. Hey, use your brain. When in doubt, don't create new assets. Just use the ones you've got, okay? So in this case, I'm totally fine with cheating here and just having this pop up inside this guy. I don't care. Do you care? I don't care. No care in the world, my friends. Especially if you make that wood thick enough. Who cares? So now we have justification for lighting the billboard. just do 2 down like this. But it'll also have neon lighting on it as well. Okay, good. All right. Now the billboard is going to say "Rest in Peace Motel." And this is just a foreshadowing for what we're going to do tomorrow. But tomorrow we're going to direct. And this is the third part of a great 3D game. You're directing the scene. You're thinking about the scene's story. You're thinking about subtle twists and details that make the player catch jokes or puns or world building or lore. You're telling a story just with the visuals. So many indie developers think the scene looks pretty. Yay. No. Say something, create a joke, create a story. Inform the player on what this place is. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. The first way we're going to do it is with a pun. Rest in peace, motel. Let's find some cool fonts to use. And we're going to use see if we can find a font that isn't super annoying. There we go. We'll do some kind of motif here. Or, yeah, I think that's the word, right? We'll do some black. And we'll do a lot more of this storytelling tomorrow. Okay, in tomorrow's live stream. Let's add like a cheesy 1970s ad for sleeping. Okay, I found one that I like. Hold on. And no, we're not using none of this is legal. But it's just for the purposes of today's live stream. Okay. We're going to add some paper texture. Okay, we're going to actually cut her out. Okay, and this is the benefit of like retro games. It feels unfair. I'll be honest with you. It feels unfair because retro games, like PSX style, they are so much easier to make. And they also get more traction than like a higher fidelity game. I've always noticed that when I post like a low res like a low res retro looking game on Twitter, it always does better. But when I post my own stuff, like my AA looking stuff, like Twisted Tower, it does fine, but it's not nearly as good as the retro stuff. I've always noticed that. Rest in peace, motel, baby. All right, we're going to merge all this together. Actually, no, let's do a hue saturation shift down this way. And then save it. And we need some color. We'll do like a red, that orange color. And then we need like a motif or a flourish of some kind. Probably should need a darker background. Maybe an outline for our text. No. This is more, I think, era appropriate. Something like this. There we go. Save it. I got it. This is what we'll do. And then we obviously want to lower the resolution of this image. And then this will be white or cream. Okay, and now let's lower the resolution. This one we might need to do. We might need to do it this way. First off, let's try and make it not look so cheesy. There we go. That looks a little bit better. Yeah, that's better. This one we might want to do the lower resolution inside of Photoshop. Pixelate, Mosaic. Or we could just yeah, that feels better. Sweet. So notice how we're starting to tell a story already, right? And so that's why we're moving into director mode. Director mode is, what is this scene saying? What are some things we can tell the player about this area and about this location? An example, a car is running, the lights are on, the window's cracked and broken. A trail of confetti goes into the door. Stuff like that. We'll talk about all of that tomorrow. Let's wrap this up here with one final tweak. You'll notice the fog is still a little too bright. There we go. Probably get away with that bluish color, honestly. I kind of love that. Let's go into our skybox and see if we can adjust some of that blue color. Colorize, drop it down. We'll do a little bit of a bluish color and see if that looks good. That does look really cool. It's a little too much though. Yes. Okay, good. Let's take a look. Brilliant. And you can imagine how it would look with sound. Hoot. Do we have a global volume on there right now? We do have a global volume. I kind of want to crank up the bloom. Yes, the camera is not taking advantage of our global volume. There we go. All right, so let's throw our post-processing on to finalize the color portion. And we're going backwards to step one, where we need to finalize our color. Bloom is not a thing in retro games. It is not, right? I don't think. I don't believe that it is. But it looks cool. Crank up our vignette. But that does look much better. Okay, so the vignette's set to 0.3. I'm going to copy the bloom. I don't believe we need tone mapping, so I'm going to remove it, or at least disable it. The bloom is good. Okay, so that all saved, actually. One thing that I always like to do in my post-processing is I always like to just throw on some contrast. I don't know why, but it always needs contrast. In this case, let's see. Probably need a little bit of contrast with a little bit of post-exposure. Yeah. Yeah, that looks good. That looks really good. Let me think here. If I got rid of the bloom, yeah, that just feels more retro to me. But you could potentially scatter it so much so that you can't tell. But I don't think we need bloom. I think bloom makes me less scared. So we're going to get rid of the bloom. Vignette's good. Color adjustment's good. That's about all we really want for our post-processing for this shot. Okay, look at, I love that shot. That's a great shot. Okay, so tomorrow. Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do tomorrow in just a sec. Huge shout out to Alexandro, Jordan, Julian. You guys want to do Q&A really quick, actually? Mahed, Caesar, Jefferson, Fluffs. Let's do a quick Q&A. Before we do that, shout out to these new students who joined Full-Time Game Dev. Guys, if you like my teaching style, and if you also want to learn from an actual indie game developer who's working on his third commercial release, and this third commercial release is one of my biggest games. It's called Twisted Tower, and it's coming out in a month. And it's basically BioShock and Willy Wonka kind of mixed. If you want to learn from an actual indie game developer who's been published 3 separate times, and I've actually done this with just a demo. I take a demo and I get funded, right? I get funded from publishers. I get funded on Kickstarter. Or if you want to learn how to hit the Steam front page, which I've done that as well. Or you want to reach out to the press and get press coverage from, let's say, Time Magazine or Rolling Stone, or get Jacksepticeye to play your game. I've done all of that as well. If that's something that you're interested in, the summer sale has 5 days left. After these 5 days are up, the summer sale is officially over. You're also going to get my 2D art program, my 3D art program, which is brand spanking new, and also my YouTube program. And I'll also throw in an hour-long mastermind meeting with just me and the other developers who have signed up during the summer sale. So it's a small, tight mastermind group where I'll get to meet you, I'll get to talk to you, and answer any questions you have. Don't take it from me, okay? Don't take it from some YouTuber, but do read the reviews on the website below, because these are students who actually went full-time with the help of the course, which is just so cool. So click the link below, check it out, see if it's something you're interested in, and I'll give you a shout out in tomorrow's live stream. Okay. And by the way, if you're a student, let me know what you think about the program in the chat. Okay, I have some time for some Q&A questions. I do. That's a cool idea. Retro style bands for the bloom. I think that's a great idea. Maybe we can talk about that tomorrow. But tomorrow, I did want to mention what we'll do tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to direct, okay? Tomorrow, we're going to direct the scene. We're going to basically say, hey, there's storytelling within this little vignette that's incredibly valuable for indie games. What's harder to make, 2D or 3D? It's not that one is harder than the other. Now that I understand both fully, like I fully understand 2D and I fully understand 3D, I will say this, I will never make a 2D game again. I don't think. I think I'll probably only make 3D games. I enjoy 3D more because I can get this shot. I can get this shot. I can basically take advantage of all of this space, right? Because we're in 3 dimensions. So there's just, you get way more bang for your buck when you're making a 3D game. What limitations are you going to put on yourself for your next game? I'm going to keep price in mind. So $10 to $15 will be my price point. I'm going to remember that a big level doesn't really matter. It's really about, is the game good? Stop thinking about the size of the game. Stop thinking about how many weapons there are. Stop thinking about how many enemies there are. Stop thinking about how many alternate paths there are. And instead, for me, I'm going to focus on, is this much of the game awesome? Is 15 minutes incredible? If that 15 minutes is incredible and playtesters are telling me it's incredible, then I move forward with the game. So for example, with my next game, I'll take something like this, and I keep saying vignette because it's a valuable word. I'm going to take this little vignette, 15-minute vignette, send it off to my brothers, send it off to playtesters, send it off to my friends, send it off to you guys, have you test it out. And if you're like, this is such a cool concept, I love this idea, I want to play more, I know it's worth my time. But if playtesters are like, yeah, or if like I post on social media and this screenshot here doesn't do well, or an animated GIF of me walking around, or video footage of me walking around this scene and interacting with this world, if it doesn't do well on social media, you abandon it and you move forward. That's how I'm going to approach game dev. It's a scientific method approach, and I learned it from Jonas Tyroller. It's a safer approach to making games because you're not gambling everything on an idea. You're actually gambling on a proven prototype. So the idea is to build a hand of cards and then play that hand, as opposed to looking at you. Your eyes are closed and you think you have a good hand and you have no idea if you have a good hand and you go all in. You want to look at your hand and go, okay, I've got 2 aces. Okay, I'm going to go all in with my 2 aces. And you get approval. I guess you use prototypers, or you use playtesters to tell you if you have a good hand or not. Right? Do I plan on making bigger games? Well, I don't plan on making big games. I never plan on making big games. They just happen. So you like something you're making, you want more of it, and you keep building it, and then you realize that, okay, I kind of want this to be a $15 game, or I kind of want this to be a $20 game. So maybe I should, okay, it needs more levels then. So you scale on top of an idea. You never for me, I never set out, I'm going to make a big game. I don't do it that way. That's not crispy enough. Maybe it needs to be blurrier. Sorry, I'm thinking about this right here. This needs to be lower resolution. There we go. Let's see here. What else we got? Oh, we do ambient occlusion. We don't have ambient occlusion on, do we? URP. Where's my URP pipeline? Keep asking questions. Hang tight, guys. Where's my URP settings? Where are my URP settings? Because I realize ambient occlusion isn't on, which is a huge deal. We'll do it tomorrow. Have you ever tried your game design hand at tabletop or board games? No, because I'm just not interested in that. Is there a playlist for workshop streams? Yes, although I typically don't leave them up. Are cleaning games hot right now? I don't think you need to worry about what's hot right now. Because by the time you're done with your game, whatever's hot is not going to be. So it's like trying to buy Bitcoin at the perfect time. Just make a great game. Make the game you want to make. Make the game you want to make. And that's it. That's all you really need to do. Okay, what else we got? Is it a good idea to use something like Mixamo for animations? Sure, it's just people know when Mixamo animations are being used. They just know. I use them, and I'm careful with them. I'll admit I'm very careful with them because they do. People can tell. I need to add storm clouds. Keep going with the questions. A blank canvas is much, much worse than an ugly painting. What? Okay, what else you guys got? Any other questions for me? Mixamo is generic. Yes. So yeah, the idea is to try and make it less generic, right? Mixamo is great for like a base layer of animations for simple stuff like characters walking and stuff. But yeah, but I use those animations all the time. I'm gonna add storm clouds here. Keep going with the questions though, guys. Just subtle storm clouds in the skybox here might actually help us. There we go. Subtle texture. Subtle texture. I love that. There we go, baby. Coming together. What's the cost-effective way to get game music? I don't have an answer for you. It's always expensive for me. I've never found a way for it to be cost-effective. I mean, you can use AI, but I think that I really, really don't want you to. I don't like AI music. It makes me sad. How are you feeling about releasing so soon? I'm feeling very nervous, very scared, but I'm feeling ready. I feel like the game is ready to go. I got a few kind of big bugs I'm working through right now. But yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling really good. We need some grass. We can't just have leaves. We need grass. Anything else? See question about publisher demo. Yeah, you'll get lambasted for using AI. You will. That's why don't use it. Just don't use it. Yeah. Where did I get these assets? I'll try and post them in the link below. They're all free. This tree needs to move up. That one needs to move up. This looks great. I would play a game like this in a heartbeat. And like what I would do, so many of you are thinking, okay, but this needs interiors. And it's like, no. You just press E on it, and the screen goes black, and then you wake up in a new scene. Right? That's how I'm gonna approach indie game development for my next game. It's not really about fidelity. It's about feel. It's not, okay, these interiors need to match the exterior. And I want it to be like free flow. I open the door and I can go in there and I could, no. Keep it simple. Like everything needs to be so dumbed down for indie games. And just focus on good juice and good feel and for me, a mysterious story and a destination and a goal and a motive for the player and the character and one really interesting gimmick. Like that's how I want to approach making games from now on. I'm not going to worry about a big sprawling environment and 10 different mechanics and 5 different traversal abilities. It's like, no. Keep it simple. What I really want to do, guys, I will tell you. What I really want to do, I want to make this kind of game. I want to make this kind of game. And I want to get somebody tell Blumhouse to reach out to me. Somebody email Blumhouse and say Thomas Brush is a YouTuber and a game developer. He's going to work on his next game. Send him a screenshot and say he made this in 30 minutes or an hour. Or Thomas made this in 2 hours and he wants Blumhouse to call him. I would go nuts because I have an idea for Blumhouse. Look at that. Okay. Isn't it simpler to have interiors than new scenes for each building? No. Designing an exterior for a building is a totally different skill than designing an interior because the exterior is visual, the interior is a level design. They're different. I'm looking at a box that looks pretty, but when I go into that box, it needs to be designed. It needs to be an actual level. It needs to have function, and it needs to work with the mechanics of the game. What do you like better for horror, fixed camera, or first person? First person. Yeah, you can give the interior more space, but also I love the idea of something to keep in mind is optimization for games. It's so much easier to optimize a 3D game when you have these clean, small scenes where it's like, this is my little scene and everything is loaded. I don't have to cull too much out. And it's just perfect, just for this little moment. And that's what we ended up doing with Twisted Tower. We just cut up all of our scenes into tiny little scenes. I got to make this game. Guys, look. I have to make this game. I got it. I got it figured out. Look at this. Watch. Hold on. I can't stop myself. Hang on. Billboard. No, it's not the billboard. I need to find this. It's too bright. So this needs to be black right here. That needs to be black. Save it. Save it. There we go. Oh my word. I want to make this game. What's any other questions? Okay, guys, I gotta go. Be sure to check out the link below if you like my teaching style and you want to shout out in tomorrow's live stream. I'll shout you out in the new student section. 5 days left to get 50% off. After this, it goes back to regular price. This is my biggest sale this year, so click the link below, check it out. And look, you got a 30-day money-back guarantee. I'm not gonna ask any questions. You just send me an email, say, was it for me, Thomas? There's no risk. There's no risk, seriously. You either get a great course that helps you and you blow through the content for 30 days straight. And if it's not for you after 30 days, just email me and you'll get a full refund. No questions asked. So there really is